Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Munya Maraire here, Worldwide Scholarships. I'm here today to take you into our webinar. The webinar is The Secrets of Basketball and Sports Recruitment. Todd, I'm gonna unmute you here just for you to greet our viewers.
Hello, this is Todd Landrey. It's a pleasure to be here.
Fantastic. Today, Todd and I are going to take you all through the secrets of basketball and sport recruitment. Many of you are aspiring to get opportunities overseas, globally, in sports and academic opportunities. And today, through our experience, we are both going to take you through what is going to be an action-packed webinar. The information is supposed to assist you in taking the next steps and also working with us as Worldwide Scholarships to get to the next level. So I'm going to first begin by giving you a short introduction to who we are as Worldwide Scholarships. And Worldwide Scholarships is an organization that was started 19 years ago, a collaboration between myself, Munya Maraire, and Anthony Latavo, a university wrestler. What is exciting about our company is it has grown and has developed to being not only Africa's leader in linking talent with university opportunities, but also the leader globally with regards to talent from Africa getting opportunities. So we're very excited to be able to have individuals like Todd on our team to help you through, what can be a very murky and difficult journey towards recruitment. Some interesting facts about Worldwide Scholarships. We have placed over 1,000 students on full scholarships across the United States and other countries. We're the only NCAA certified service in Africa, which means university coaches in the United States are able to subscribe to our organization in order to check talent and see talented individuals and what they have achieved, which is a plus for Africa. We've linked over $50 million of scholarship funding for families. So for those of you that are looking to save money using your talent, this is a great place for us to begin the journey. We have over 2,500 universities worldwide that we are in collaboration with and that we work with to get opportunities for student athletes. Our partners. So from the partner perspective, we're in partnership with Sports Tours and Travel, which is our logistics and travel partner. Italia Culture Coaching, which is the coaches for soccer out of the Italian Federation. Very, very top coaches end up coming to South Africa and to African countries where we are hosting to actually come and coach the coaches as well as the athletes. Sports Spirit is the clothing line that helps and works with us as an apparel. We're in collaboration with the Lombardia Uno Milan Academy. So for those soccer players out there, it must be very exciting for you to know that we're in the AC Milan Youth Network. School Sports News, covering most of our events in collaboration with Supersport and SABC. And then the Real Madrid Foundation as well. The WWS values are as follows. We believe in being world-class in everything that we do. We believe in relationship. We believe in integrity, communication, and we're God-fearing. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself with a BSc in business logistics. I was the first Zimbabwean NFL prospect in history. Still hold the Alaska State record in the 400 meters. Was the Alaska State champion as well in the 200 and 400 meters. I'm still went to university at Pennsylvania State University, and still on the record books in the 4x4 and as on the list for the 200 meters. And I'm one of 30 athletes in history at Penn State University to have played 2 sports. I was an American football player as well as an athlete. Todd, I'd like to hand over to you. So I'm going to do an introduction on who Todd is and what Todd has accomplished. Todd Landrey, the WWS Director of Basketball Camps and Recruitment. He's helping us a lot, and we've got some interesting, exciting vision towards what we want to do in terms of assisting athletes with their future, where it comes to linking with recruitment and opportunities, whether it be at high school or at the university level, and even for some that are going to go for the opportunities at the NBA level. And Todd, I would like to just go into what he's accomplished. And I'm very humbled to have Todd among us and helping us as we go. So Todd is the former director of the Philadelphia 76ers camps. He managed and operated the 76ers basketball camps for over 20 years. This is the #1 youth development camp in the NBA. So you can imagine the kind of person that's with us today, the pedigree and the experience that he brings in terms of developing talent and linking them. He himself has mentored and developed and trained 27 future NBA and WNBA players. And you do see the GOAT there. That is our one and only, rest in peace to him as well, Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant is one of the players that went through Todd's hands. And Todd, I'd like to kind of hand over to you now, just to give us a bit of a history to your journey. Tell us, how it's been for you in the world of sports and development before we get into teaching people about the secrets of recruitment.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. As Munya said, my name is Todd Landrey. I've been in collegiate and professional basketball for the last 30 plus years. I've had the opportunity to work with hundreds of athletes, male and female, that have moved on to play at private boarding schools, at universities and colleges on scholarship, and professionally at the next level. We've been very fortunate to have worked with a number of players that achieved the highest level of playing in the NBA and the WNBA, have worked with players from all over the world, and been able to assist and help and train and coach and mentor athletes from Ireland and Iceland and the Ukraine and Africa. You see listed Ronald Gundo in the upper right-hand corner. He's on the national team for Kenya. One of the individuals that we worked with that came through a program that we're able to help place at a private boarding school here in the States, and then get to the university level and now professionally. In the left-hand corner, you have Abraham Uel Deng, who's another young man from Kenya and South Sudan that we were to help place at a private boarding school here, and then at a local university as well. And then John Bolajak in the bottom right-hand corner, another young man that came through Africa and is currently on a full scholarship at Syracuse University.
Todd, I'd like to ask you a question. I mean, can you tell us what maybe your Kobe Bryant moment, like the one that you really remember? Because like we all like in Africa here, we are so in awe of how he played basketball. He inspired many. I remember when I was in university, Kobe was just coming in, and he was a top student, could speak like 3 languages, and was just a phenomenal. He could have gone to any university, Harvard, Yale. He could have gone to all those top universities based on his academic ability, but went straight out of high school into the NBA and had one of the most glorious careers in NBA history. But for you to have been alongside him, I mean, that to me is just a phenomenal testimony to some of our viewers here, just to know what that was about and what that was like for you.
Well, Kobe was one of many kids that came through our player development program with the 76ers camps, and he came through as a young man, along with the likes of Rip Hamilton, who won, Richard Rip Hamilton won a national championship at UConn.
Wow.
A lottery pick, was a world champion with the Detroit Pistons, and Malik Rose, another young man that came through our program with player development and won 3 world championships in the NBA with the San Antonio Spurs, and is now VP of operations for the league office. But Kobe was a young man that at a very young age had a tremendous work ethic, that he would be constantly seeking out instruction and ways to improve his game. And remember, at the age of 12 and 13, he would come to summer camp, and while 99% of the kids, once it was mealtime, would be up, getting ready and standing in line, ready to eat for meals, he'd be the only kid still down on the court, working on his game while everybody else stayed and waited in line. He would spend the time, instead of waiting in line, trying to get better and work on his game and improve. And then he'd be the last kid to eat every meal. And he would have just had a tremendous work ethic that obviously he followed on all the way through his career. But just, we were humbled that he was, a part of our program. But, we've been fortunate to help train and mentor and coach young men and young women, in the journey to their success, and be a small part and help build their skill development and put the building blocks in place for them to be successful.
Phenomenal. I mean, that's very humbling, and I hear the whole story of sacrifice. And this is coming from the guy who's the greatest player probably in history. There's a big debate always on who the best player is or was or will be. But definitely in my books, Kobe Bryant was really, really up there. I think the first question that I'd like to address, and Todd, we're going to go back and forth for our viewers, in terms of different elements. I'm going to talk about the NCAA, NAIA, recruitment facts, and things. And I think the first thing is, what is a scholarship? As a company, our name is Worldwide Scholarships. Many people come through our doors and usually ask us, do we ourselves give scholarships as Worldwide Scholarships? And we always have to explain that first and foremost, a scholarship is a grant and financial aid from a university. It's not from Worldwide Scholarships ourselves. A university will warrant a scholarship based on your sports ability, your academic ability, and even your arts and extracurricular activities, depending on how well you've done. And scholarships obviously are not all 100%. People sometimes come in and they think, whoa, am I going to get a full scholarship when we assist you? And obviously, as a recruiting and scouting service, we aren't able to promise anybody a scholarship, but we can promise you that we would provide the services necessary to link you to the institutions that are giving out scholarship opportunities. I don't know, Todd, if you've got to add on that. How do you feel about that?
You described it very well. Scholarships are handed out by universities and oftentimes are on a year-to-year basis. And there's all levels of scholarship, whether it be full scholarships, half scholarships, or partial, and they're offered from everything from those talented in music and acting and academics to athletics as well.
NCAA versus NAIA versus junior college. I'm going to let you tackle this one, Todd.
All right. The NCAA has 3 levels, Division I, Division II, and Division III. Each of those levels, the criteria to be a Division I, Division II, or Division III sport and play and compete at that level is based on the number of sports that you have at the university or college. NCAA Division I schools for basketball and American football have full scholarships. Many of the other division NCAA schools at the Division II and III level have scholarships as well. Many Division II schools have scholarships based on athletics and academics and music and acting. At the Division III level, many of those scholarships are based on academics and or talent that is not athletically related and or grants or financial need. But there's a different level with each of those. You may be watching March Madness right now with women's Division I basketball and men's Division I basketball on TV. Currently, those games are being played. NAIA is the National Athletic Intercollegiate Association. They are similar to the NCAA, yet they have different rules and regulations and academic requirements. The many NAIA schools also offer athletic scholarships, music scholarships, academic scholarships. It is just another option. Educationally, they are 4-year schools, just like the NCAA. They are also 4-year schools. The junior college has 3 levels as well, Division I, Division II, and Division III. And junior college is a 2-year school where you go and get what's called an AA degree. You go for 2 years, and then you're able to transfer to a 4-year school, be it the NAIA or the NCAA. Junior colleges have athletic scholarships as well. At the Division I level, the Division II level varies from school to school whether or not they have athletic scholarships. And typically the junior college Division III level is more grant and financial aid based and academics and non-athletic scholarships. But all 3 levels offer various grants and financial aid based on need, and do offer full scholarships as well as partial scholarships. And in some cases, some schools combine half athletic scholarship and half academic to create a full scholarship. So there is a combination of financial aid and grants at some of the institutions that can be combined together to make a full scholarship.
Very interesting. Todd, do you want to maybe touch on when it's best to look at the different types of universities? So in terms of your junior college versus your NAIA versus the NCAA as a choice?
Well, typically, recruiting can start from a college coach's standpoint, where they can speak with you and communicate with a potential student athlete is in their sophomore year. Not typically earlier than that can the rules allow a coach to reach out and speak with potential student athletes. So
if I can provide clarity for those that are on, because obviously in our high schools, and we are joined right now with the participants on this Zoom webinar from Nigeria, Kenya, the Congo, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Uganda, Tanzania, and we've got some international people out of the continent of Africa as well who are joined on this Zoom call. So for the auspices of those who are studying in Africa, sophomore would be your grade 10 year. So a lot of people and their parents actually think that they should start looking for universities or trying to get recruited as far in the game as in their senior year. And I think even with us sometimes as worldwide scholarships, you know, it's been a challenge to try and ensure that families start the whole process early, much earlier than they do now. And I'm glad that you've spoken on the sophomore year, because the sophomore year is grade 10 for us, which is the kid still has 3 years to go in high school, and they've already started looking for university opportunities.
Correct. As Munya said, the earlier you can start with your son or daughter, the better. In one of the previous slides, you saw 3 individuals that we were fortunate to be able to assist that all come from either Kenya or South Sudan. And they were all came over, and we started assisting them when they were 14 or 15. So by the time they came to the States, they were either a freshman or sophomore in high school, either they were 15 or 16 years old. So they were able to be placed at a private boarding school and have a scholarship for 3 or 4 years. That then, you know, academically, socially, emotionally, spiritually, athletically, they were able to grow and mature and develop over 3 or 4 years, and then move on to the collegiate level. So those 3 individuals, we were able to help find them an opportunity to continue their education here in the States, but they started continuing, you know, even younger than say a sophomore year, and looking at colleges only. They were able to come to the States and play athletics and get their academics in order, and grow and mature and develop, so that they were attractive to the Division I basketball scholarship level.
Very interesting. Todd, and you know what is interesting from the perspective of that I've noticed, at least in on the basketball side, is in Africa, our development of the game and the level at which our players are playing is much lower than what is happening in the US. And for us, you know, I wonder if you can provide some guidance as well there with regards to, you know, if a player is aspiring to get themselves to the States, you know, what kind of developmental things do they need to be doing leading up to achieving that kind of a goal, especially when our level of basketball is much lower. I mean, there's nobody that comes out of any of our leagues that I've ever seen in history that can do what Kobe Bryant or what LeBron James did. Yet some of the youngsters, they feel that they're excellent at basketball. And I'm saying, you know, you must understand that, you know, the level of basketball in the US is much higher for a guy to go out of high school straight into the NBA and be an impact player.
Correct. In many cases, the skill development here in the States, it happens every day. It's year round. The opportunity to work on their game. Africa is a little bit behind in, the opportunity for young people to grow, in their basketball skill development. And in many cases, they may be just in the initial process athletically from a skill development standpoint of where they will ultimately be. Some of those individuals that you had saw from Africa, those three all played high major Division I basketball here in the States, but all three of them, when they came over, Ronald Gundo in the red jerseys on the Kenyan national team, he came over and he was a sophomore in high school, and he didn't start initially on his sophomore team, yet he was 6'8". And John Bolajak, who's in the bottom right-hand corner, who came from South Sudan, who's at Syracuse University, one of the top 25 universities in the country. He's in the Longport t-shirt. He was a top 100 recruit coming out of high school. He didn't even start, or he didn't even play a whole lot as a freshman in high school. But he went from a freshman in high school, and with the training and skill development and the opportunity to work on his game and mature at a private boarding school, he was able to make leaps from not even playing as a freshman on the varsity to then starting as a sophomore and being recruited nationally within a year. So the opportunity is there to grow and mature and develop. I would say that it's very important for young athletes in Africa to make sure that their academics are in order. That's the first thing that any school here, be it a high school, a private boarding school, a junior college, a four-year institution at the NAIA or NCAA level, they're going to look at academics first and foremost to make sure that they are strong academically, but yet that they also athletically, their skill set has been developed. And with any particular sport, be it soccer or football or basketball or track and field, it's imperative that an individual has great balance and great hand-eye coordination and flexibility and quickness and speed and strength, things that can be developed, and maybe not having as much access to a field or a court or a ball or particular coaching on a regular basis to improve specific skill development, but yet the athletic skills, strength, speed, quickness, agility, hand-eye coordination are something that is imperative at all levels of athletics. And for all coaches, many of them are looking at those things along with size, depending upon the sport, as the basis for growth and development.
And I'd like to jump in there, Todd, because obviously on this Zoom webinar, we do have athletes from other sports and coaches from other disciplines as well. And the same thing applies across the board in terms of people making sure that they develop their skill at an early age. And that's for parents as well and coaches, that, as soon as your grade 10, year, people should be able to see your trajectory towards, being able to be an athlete that would be recruited to some of these universities. And that's very, very important, especially if the aspiration is to get a sporting scholarship or to be able to make a sports team for one of these top universities, across the world. So now, I don't know, Todd, we can touch on the differences in terms of maybe school sizes, the NCAA institutions, NAIA versus junior college, the divisions, and then obviously the different rules of eligibility that would be involved for the different levels.
Sure. In many cases, your NCAA schools are going to be larger than your NAIA or junior college institutions. Your NCAA schools, be it Division I or Division II or Division III, a lot of the scholarships are based on the financial size of the school, how many students are in the school, how many scholarships are available. At the NCAA Division I level, for men's basketball, there's 13 scholarships available. For American football, there's typically 85 scholarships available at some of the larger Division I institutions. Your Division II schools, many of them may have 4 or 5 full scholarships, and those can be divided up. Some of your stronger Division II institutions may have 8, 9, or 10 full scholarships. And depending upon the sport, some schools, be it NCAA or NAIA, may have the equivalent of 4 or 5 scholarships in dollars, and yet they can divide up those dollars accordingly based on the athletes that they're recruiting, and combine with a particular academic scholarship or financial aid or a grant that is set aside for a particular category. The NAIA has divisions just like NCAA and junior college. There's NAIA Division I, there's NAIA Division II. Typically, the difference is based on finances. NAIA scholarships that may be the Division I level may have more scholarship money available than an NAIA Division II school. Similar to junior college has Division I, Division II, and Division III junior colleges. Your Division I junior colleges typically have full basketball scholarships. For instance, there's a junior college in Pennsylvania that's the only Division I junior college in the state of Pennsylvania. There's over 50 junior colleges in PA, but only one that falls under the category of a Division I junior college. So they offer full basketball scholarships. They have basketball players from all over the world on their basketball team. And so the size of the school, meaning the number of students in it, the financial availability and the financial backing of the school, with the number of scholarships and money that is set aside for athletics, whether it be basketball or soccer or track and field or football, varies from school to school, as do the academic requirements. There are different academic requirements required for NCAA Division I and Division II. Some athletes may be Division I eligible and not Division I eligible, but Division II eligible, possibly based on test scores, be it SAT scores or ACT scores or grade point average. So you could be necessarily eligible to be admitted as a student at many of these schools, but you may not be academically eligible to be an athlete. And those are two different things. So academics is a priority at every school, and the stronger your son or daughter is in their academics, the greater chance they have to be successful at the collegiate level, and the greater chance they have to be successful at achieving, an athletic scholarship.
Todd, I think what's very interesting of what you just said there, the NCAA especially needs you to have maths, English, and then science as your top three, as your three core subjects, and then two other subjects would make up 5. And that is where they then begin to calculate your grade point average. So if you are doing maths literacy, immediately you are out of the race for an NCAA university, and your opportunities would then begin at the NAIA and junior colleges, just because of that decision. So thanks for that point. That really hit a nail on the head for me on that one, Todd.
WWS can help navigate the academic landscape with the core requirements that are necessary for the NC2A clearinghouse to be eligible to receive an athletic scholarship at the NCAA level, because there are 13 core requirements. And as Munya mentioned, math, science, and English, are 3 of them, but there's foreign language, there's humanities, there's history, there's lots of other core classes that are required. Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, from a math standpoint, that are all core requirements to compete and receive a scholarship at the NCAA Division 1 and 2 level. And those are things that, being a part of WWS can help your son or daughter navigate throughout the course of their high school career and matriculation to the collegiate level.
And then if we can touch on eligibility. So we've talked about academic eligibility. I think what is another important thing for everyone that's on here to understand is, for you to be a college athlete, you need to be an amateur for you to be able to participate. And an amateur, in line with what the NCAA states, is that you haven't been paid to play your sport, or you haven't signed with a professional agent. These are the 2 critical pieces of being an amateur athlete.
Right. And I think it's important for families to understand that typically a scholarship is money that is granted for room and board, basically your living accommodations, your housing, dorm rooms on campus, your meal plan, and your classes. Some schools, based on level, be it NCAA Division 1, 2, or 3, or NAIA, they offer a half scholarship. The scholarship may be good for a dollar figure, or it may be equal to the amount of the academic side of things, classes, and may only cover the academics, and financial aid or the grants or family contribution would have to be part of the balance of the tuition. But a scholarship, a full scholarship, in many cases is room, board, and the tuition of the academic side, and in some cases it also includes books, so that that is the academic side of things. But keep in mind, in going to schools. There are other sometimes expenses that a college student incurs, whether it's laundry or cell phones, things that may fall out of the scope of an athletic scholarship that are needed, for an athlete that is usually part of the contribution that maybe a family makes that's outside of the room, board, books, and tuition.
Now let's go into the recruiting do's and don'ts. Dead periods, live periods, quiet periods, when to start, and then obviously using a reputable recruiting service to help you through the different steps in the whole process.
Dead periods, these are NCAA recruiting terms: dead period, live period, quiet period, that the NCAA office dictates when these periods of time, be it weeks or months, where recruiting and communication and evaluation and contacts can occur. A dead period is a period of time when recruits are not allowed to visit college campuses or schools, and they're not allowed to have contact with a potential coach or representative of a university. A live period is that period of time, be it 2 weeks or 4 weeks or a few months, where the evaluation process can take place, where a coach can evaluate, watch a potential student athlete, visit a student athlete, meet a student athlete, have contact. A live period is also known as an evaluation period, where a coach can watch somebody participate in their sport and make an evaluation or determination on whether or not they want to offer them a scholarship.
I can jump.
Go ahead.
Jump in there, Todd, because just some interesting things is, we've had clients who say, yo, I was writing to this university and I haven't received any responses. And this is, for you that are listening, this is the reasons why, because certain times of the year, the universities cannot talk to you, but they can always talk to us as Worldwide Scholarships in order to talk about different people that they may have interest in. Then on the live periods, obviously, this is when we do our showcase or scout camp events, because sometimes, Todd, like here, we've got a different academic calendar to what's in the States. So, sometimes we go January through to March, and then there is a 1-month holiday in April. In some countries, and then you've got May through July again in school, and then August is a 1-month holiday again, and then you go September to November, and then December is a one month holiday. But depending on the different calendars, in South Africa, they've got 3 different calendars that they're working with, and sometimes there's conflict in when we can put an event on. And for us, people wonder why we put events on the dates that we do. And obviously, we know that we cannot have a US college coach attend an event in South Africa or in Kenya or in one of the African countries unless they are able to come during a live period, which is a window on the calendar where they're actually allowed to come and see you play. So I think that's a very good point that you've brought up there.
Yes, a quiet period of time, be it a few weeks or a few months is a period of time where colleges and universities can only have face-to-face contact with a potential student athlete on their own campus. So they can't go to somebody else's school or campus. It has to be when a potential student athlete visits their own campus. And that leads us to two things. There's what's considered an official visit and an unofficial visit. During a quiet period or a live period when a visit can happen at campus. An official visit is where the university or school pays for the student athlete to attend on a visit, typically of 2 to 3 days, where they could pay for the transportation to and from the school and housing over the weekend and meals and participation in possibly seeing a sporting event at that university. That's an official visit. An unofficial visit is where a family would visit a school on their own. They could let the coaches know that they're going to make an unofficial visit, but the family is taking on the responsibility financially to visit a particular school. Once on campus, you have the opportunity to meet with coaches. Schools are also allowed during an unofficial visit to give you tickets to a sporting event on that campus if you're there with your family. And contact can then happen, as well during an unofficial visit. But it has to happen. The difference between the official and unofficial is primarily who is paying for that visit to the particular school or college. When to start? Again, I think we briefly mentioned earlier. The earlier you can start thinking about, do you want to matriculate to high school or private boarding school in the States, or to attend college or university in the States? The earlier you start, the better. From a recruiting standpoint, it becomes more difficult and challenging on many different levels the later it is, because sometimes your options are more limited based on age and window of opportunity from an athletic standpoint. So again, sophomore year is when a coach or a representative of a particular college or university can contact a student athlete. But, for instance, here in the States, in many cases, from a recruiting standpoint, there are lists of 7th and 8th graders, 12 and 13-year-olds, and where they rank, from their particular sport as the best in the, in the state of Pennsylvania, or the best in the United States. So recruiting here for many of your primary major sports for the States, be it football and basketball, which are the two primary major sports here. Oftentimes that process begins to start for those that are talented enough, in 7th and 8th grade. Coaches aren't able to contact them, but there's lists, there's evaluations, there's events that these young men or young women are participating in from a sports standpoint, where they're already being evaluated by services, similar to worldwide scholarships. I think it's important when you're interested in your son or daughter having an opportunity to matriculate to the next level, whether it be a private boarding school or high school or college, to be involved with a reputable recruiting service and a service that will help you step by step along the way throughout the entire process. Munya and I are very kindred spirits in that many of the athletes that we have had the opportunity to work with and mentor or train or coach, it's not just for a couple of years, it's for life. And the opportunity to be involved with WWS and all the aspects that they can assist in the recruiting process, from the academic side to make sure that you're taking the core classes that the colleges require. Are you taking the TOEFL exam? That many of the private boarding schools and high schools and colleges require. Are they helping prep you for interviews that happen via Zoom? Are they assisting in events that you can participate in to be evaluated and scouted and recruited, and be able to contact coaches all over the country about a potential student athlete that they might be interested in taking a look at, or a particular musician or somebody that's strong in academics that they would be able to provide a positive contribution to a school or university. So I think it's very important that you look at for your son or daughter's future, those that are that you want to be involved in assisting your son or daughter. And WWS again is the only recruiting service that is NCAA certified in Africa, and that makes that process to the next level much smoother and an easier transition when all the requirements that the NCAA has, they have cleared and approved of WWS being part of that process and certified to send athletes to the next level.
Thanks a lot for that. I think that that is a very important piece as well. I think what's really, really important to most of the students as well is what should be in their profile for a coach, what needs to be displayed. And I think there's a few points here that we need to really drill into. And as Worldwide Scholarships, obviously part of our services to our clients is to provide these kind of services as well as guidance to ensure that these things are done properly.
Correct. Worldwide Scholarships will help facilitate the process for video and testimonials, references, phone calls, communication to coaches, what is required academically to matriculate to the next level, be it class-wise, testing that takes place to attend private boarding schools or colleges or universities that are required at those institutions. From a video standpoint, part of the process in the video and the testimonials and the grades is WWS will put together basically a recruiting packet for your son or daughter. And in that recruiting packet, there'll be a video. And the video will contain things like watching your son or daughter, they're participating in a game, and there's some game footage, there's some workout footage, be it drills on the basketball court, or training drills, speed and agility, weight training drills, a video that provides some personal statistics, height, weight, foot size, vertical jump, standing reach, from a basketball standpoint, all things that recruiters look for in potential student athletes if you're speaking about basketball, but for all sports, all those measurables for a student athlete personally, as well as athletically, things that can be measured, their quickness, their speed, their agility, their strength, all things that can be listed in a profile, as well as a little video communicating, talking about yourself, answering some questions. Where are you from? How many brothers and sisters do you have? What are your dreams and goals? Things of that nature that are all put together as part of the video process that can be passed on and presented to a university. Testimonials from college coaches, testimonials from evaluators that attend events, and the skill level of the particular individual, and a projection that's based on where your son or daughter is currently, maybe personally in their growth and development, where they are. If, for example, one of the young men that I was fortunate to deal with, I met as a 13-year-old, and he was from Africa. And at 13, he was 6'6", but he only weighed 135 pounds. But he had a size 15 shoe. So we're able to make a determination that as a 13-year-old, with that size, knowing that he would grow for the next 4 or 5 years, and he was presented with an opportunity to play at a private boarding school for 4 years and get a great education at one of the top basketball programs in the country. And we were able to help him matriculate there, and then on to Villanova University for 4 years, and won a national championship at Villanova, and then being drafted by the Washington Wizards in the NBA. Daniel Ochefu, who also happened to come through our program. So from a testimonial standpoint, be it from college coaches, recruiters, members of the WWS family, are part of that profile that is put together, as well as the academics. Schools typically want to see official transcripts of the last 4 years. So at whatever time in the process you are with your son or daughter, they want to see the 4 years prior. So if you're starting the process and they're a junior in high school, and they're typically 16 years old or 17 years old, they want to see grades from 12 and 13 up till 16, and their test scores, if they happen to have any. They'll want to see, the ACT or the SAT or the TOEFL test, and all of these things are put together in a personal recruiting packet or profile that can then be presented to schools, be it high schools, private boarding schools, 2-year junior colleges, or 4-year institutions at the NAIA or NCAA level, that make a very complete packet, because we are trying to showcase your son or daughter halfway across the globe, in some cases, to a particular university where they may not be able to come visit or see your son and daughter in person, depending upon what country you're at, or their the institution or college they're at, or their recruiting budget, but yet they're able to offer a scholarship based on the information that's provided. So we try to provide a complete, holistic evaluation and profile of your son or daughter, so that a school or university can make an evaluation on your son or daughter, whether or not they would fit that particular school or university and be someone that they would entertain offering a scholarship to.
It's a very good point. Right now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up just a testimonial video of one of our students who, through worldwide scholarships, received 65 full scholarships offers. And now I'm going to play that video of her. She was an athlete doing athletics. Her name is Renate Ventonda. She went to a school in South Africa called Menlo Park. And I'm going to play her video now, just so everybody can see that testimony. She was on national television in South Africa, which is SABC.
Now, South African athlete Renate Fantonda is on her way to the United States of America to find a university to enroll in and further her athletics and academic ambitions. So far, Renate has around 70 full scholarships to choose from. She's in high demand, and that's because she's competed at the IAAF World Youth Championships and the Commonwealth Youth Championships. Renate, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Simon.
Right, so it looks like you're US bound for the collegiate system there. Are you more impressed with how they sort out their athletes?
Actually, the motivation why I want to go to the US is more about my ambition to go overseas. I love South Africa, but I have a passion to travel and meet new people and also try different types of training also. I like working with a lot of coaches and then try and mix it up and see what kind of magic potion works for me as an individual athlete.
Right, so we must stress that you're not just snubbing South Africa. It is also based on academic prowess. It's not the kind of opportunity open to everyone. So yeah, being good at school is paying off for you, isn't it?
Yes, it's actually quite tough. I'm in matric now, so the academics this year is very important. So actually, this year I decided to just maintain my athletics performance and focus a bit more on the academics because, I mean, matric is really important.
Right, well, we've had South African athletes, particularly swimmers, going over to the US to compete there before. They kind of disappear for a while. Is that your plan as well, and then come back in an Olympic year and wow everyone?
I actually have a lot of friends that went overseas to the USA last year. And I think the thing is that it takes a little bit of time to just adapt to the new surroundings and adapt to the new coach and just get used to the new environment. So I think I'm also going to just, when I go to the USA, I'm going to start training immediately and try and perform at my best.
Right. Well, the organization you're affiliated with, the Worldwide Scholarships Group, they put you out there and minimum 70 responses came back. Do you know where you're going in the US? Because it's a big place, isn't it?
It's so big. Like most of the universities, I didn't even know existed. So I had to look up a lot of the universities. But at the moment, two of the universities that I'm most positive about, one is in Kentucky and the other one is in the state of Nebraska.
Right, and where are you leaning towards? Because I know Nebraska, not much goes on there, so there's a lot to focus. You can focus on your athletics in the cornfields, isn't that right?
Actually, some of the things that I'm looking at the university is definitely the coaches. So I'm really excited to meet the coaches in person and talk to them about how does their training program work. And then another thing is also meet the people of the university, because I'm a people person and I want to see if they can work with me. And also, obviously, of course, the best scholarship, which university can give me the best scholarship.
Right, well, you've had international exposure. That must be part of your plan as well, to keep that going. Have you informed everyone in South Africa that you will be across theirs in case they select a team without you in it?
I think most of the people know. I've already told them that I'm going to America, but it depends on my performance. If I perform well enough, then they can't miss me, then they have to take me. But if I don't perform well enough, then they'll take someone else. So it depends on my performance.
Right, well, in a week's time, you're off, and you've narrowed it down to about 5 choices, is that right?
Yes, that's true.
Right, so you're crisscrossing the states to go and see them and have them sell the place to you, is that right?
Yes, I just want to know as much as possible from the universities. And I think it's very important to meet the people in person and also see the university, not just like looking at photos or videos.
Well, talk about, do you know about the American Collegiate system and the sporting excellence and how they go about things? Is that what impressed you about taking this role, this particular path as an athlete?
It's definitely one of the things that attracted me and kind of motivated me to do it, because I know athletics in America, it's more like a team sport. I know that the universities, they compete as a team. All the points like go together, and then they say, okay, which university is the best? Like when you're here in South Africa, it's more individual.
Yes.
So I'm excited, and also you have a team working with you to help you manage your classes and your time when you compete, your competitions. Where in South Africa, you're kind of solo, you just kind of have to do your studying and your athletics training all together. Where in the USA, they manage it for you. They try and help you with your timing and everything.
Well, Renata, we wish you the best of luck with this endeavor of yours, and we hope everything goes swimmingly, and we expect to see your name coming up at Tokyo 2020, perhaps.
Thank you so much, Simon.
All right. So, Todd, I don't know if anything popped up from that interview that Renata did. And for those of you who are on there, please, can you start writing in your questions? Because we're going to start answering questions after the next 2 slides that are coming up now.
No, I think her testimony was very important, because it shed a light on the challenges that sometimes international athletes face with matriculating to the United States, and not only just the exposure to schools. There are several thousand schools in the United States that offer scholarships of one form or another, but the vast 95% of those schools that offer scholarships won't be able to travel to Africa or to Ireland or to Dubai or any other country or place to evaluate that student athlete in person, just because finances do not allow them to do it. It's very expensive to travel overseas and evaluate. So in some cases, the partner that you choose for your son or daughter that can help put that profile together, that is comprehensive in what they're able to present to a school, and have the proper testimonials and video, and individuals that have the credibility to refer your son or daughter to a particular school based on their ability, feeling that they would have an opportunity to play at the next level, is critical. And in this case, with that young lady, Worldwide Scholarships was instrumental in helping her, receive over 70 scholarship offers by schools in the United States that in many cases otherwise would not have happened.
It's very true. I think now I want to go into the different services that people kind of chose. We've gone through the university placement and high school placement. I would like to talk about the local camps with international coaches and scouts, because as Worldwide Scholarships, obviously we put on local camps and showcases for athletes. And this is a good time for athletes to sign up for those things so that you can put your talents in front of scouts and coaches that are looking for your talent. And what is really important, I think Todd really mentioned this now, is that, universities have got budgets for recruiting, but they cannot fly across the world to see you. So they really rely on the information and the way we do our thing here in Africa to ensure that they get the right information on someone so that they can offer them opportunities. They're very interested in the kind of talent that we have on the continent and around the world, but they cannot always fly across to each of these places because they also have got a lot of good, talented kids in the United States as well that they would be looking at as well. So what we like to do is we like to actually package our videos of our camps and events and send it across to the universities for them to also evaluate you even when they're not there. And sometimes, most of our events, we do also have some of those coaches using their budgets and actually coming to watch and see what kind of talented youngsters we do have on the continent. So Todd, I think what I'm going to do as well, we did do a local event in South Africa in December, and I think it would be a good thing for the viewers to be able to see what happened. And we started this event with having American football as being a part of it as well. So we brought rugby players out for them to also participate as American football in different American football drills. We did basketball and we also did soccer. So this is what happened.
South Africa is a nation brimming with talent from all corners and all stretches of the country. Unearthing that talent, now that's the hard part. But with enough will and support, South Africa could develop into a true powerhouse in the world of sports. Worldwide Scholarships, a global sports and art organization based in Johannesburg, held a 3-day scouting event at Camp Discovery in December. Over the 3 days, bright South African prospects in rugby, basketball, and football were put through the paces by professional coaches from all over the world. Scouts from AC Milan, the NFL, and NBA were also on location, looking for talent emerging out of Mzansi. For American football scouts in particular, there's a big interest in South Africans, considering the country's prowess in rugby.
There's a tremendous amount of just natural athleticism here. You look at the sizes of some of these guys, tall, strong, thick, powerful. And then when you watch them move, you watch them run and they jump, they are equally as athletic and can move very well for their size. So that's an interesting athlete for a lot of American sports for sure. And that's, again, if you take that natural athleticism and that size, there might be a team out there that are willing to maybe be a little bit patient while they teach them the skills of the sport.
Well, always, put emphasis on the lateral movement, and also the tackling. Rugby tackling is something that has been embraced in the NFL. Started with the Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks embraced the style of tackling, head up, tackling with the chest, through the hips, safer as an alternative to the concussions using your head. So the tackling overlaps as well as the lateral movement. So there's a lot of overlaps with rugby and American football.
One man who fits the criteria of an American football player is former junior Springbok star Lloyd Greef, the 26-year-old who's been on the books of the Emirates Lions, Cheetahs and Zebra in Italy, was given a special invitation to the event as he seeks a change in his career.
I want to get in the NFL. I want to be a punter, kicker. I want to be part of the special team, So for me, I just want to showcase what I have. I think I have multiple talents that can benefit me to get a fast track maybe to the NFL. And I'm just excited to be here, man. It's such a great camp, and everybody's just giving their part, and seeing the smiles on the boys' faces is really nice to see in these difficult times that we live in, because it's COVID and everything. So having a camp like this that just gets our brains off everything and still doing what we love, that's fantastic for me.
Physical is number one. Rugby athletes are definitely physical. That's not a question. Rugby athletes don't even have equipment. So as far as making that transition, the mental headspace, rugby players are on point with that. So the only gap is the technical experience and the knowledge. So just teaching rugby athletes football. That's it. As far as the skill set, they got it already.
Obviously, again, from a basketball perspective, maybe Todd, you can explain, like, when we do, and for some of the basketball players, we're planning an international trip later in the year where they can come to a camp and a tour, which would be facilitated obviously by Todd and his group in the United States, to showcase their ability and also to train and develop. It's more about training and development, really, because like we said at the beginning, our talent may not be at the same level as it needs to be, and we need to be working on the developmental aspects of the game. And we're doing these same international tours and camps. I know the boys and girls soccer will also be going to the Lombardia Uno AC Milan Academy in Italy. And then on the track and field side, athletics, we've got an invitation next year to the Penn Relays, as well as to the Drake competition and some other showcase events in the United States. Also on the soccer perspective, we also have the same in the US, where there are different showcase events that we also participate in. So I don't know, Todd, if you'd like to take it away for the basketballers, kind of day in a life of what they would kind of do or be a part of, or what those camps are like. And, for us, it's an honor because, Todd was the head, the director of the #1 camp in the United States for basketball. And you've seen the players that went through his hands through development. And for him to join our team and be a part of us is phenomenal for us to have that kind of thing happen. And we'll be planning camps even here in Africa, across the continent, to bring these opportunities closer to the different countries that are represented here.
The opportunities, whether it be in Africa or here in the States, will many of them focus on the fundamentals and skill development. There's opportunities to play in 2 to 3 games a day from an evaluation standpoint, but the fundamentals are critical in the evaluation process, whether it be evaluating somebody's ball handling ability and the various drills that go into ball handling and dribbling, and putting them through steps of the jab step series and the 5 basic passes, and footwork series, and the dribble drive series from a basketball standpoint, the fundamentals of shooting, and balance, eyes, elbow, and follow through, and the shooting series, be it off the ball, on the pass, on the dribble, and rebounding and defense, and individual post moves and individual offensive moves, and the shell defensive series. There's a lot of different skill development stations and drills and fundamentals that will be done on a daily basis, because that is the critical component toward evaluation. in many respects, the journey is more important than the destination. The destination is where you want to get eventually, whether it be that opportunity at a school or university or professionally. That's the ultimate destination. But the most important thing are the building blocks. Who are you having involved with your son or daughter? Who's doing the teaching? Who's helping you along the way? Do they have the necessary steps and coaching and skill development and opportunities to improve and be successful and be evaluated? Those are all critical components, towards that next step in the process. That you have to build each opportunity, and each step builds upon the next step, whether it be building. People that build a house start at the bottom and work their way up. I tell my son all the time, you can't run before you crawl and you walk. So we try to make sure that each step builds upon itself, and you take advantage of the opportunities presented to you, but make sure that you're provided with the necessary skills and fundamentals so that you can be successful, but making sure that to get that opportunity, to have that chance to where a coach offers you a scholarship, there's a lot of hard work that goes into it. There's a lot of people that are involved in the process, be it coaches, parents, mentors, trainers, other family members that all are the steps along the journey to help you reach that destination.
We're going to go into the next steps, and then after that we will take some questions and then close off. So I think the next steps for everyone that's here is obviously you've seen some of the services that we've been discussing. As Worldwide Scholarships, we're very dedicated to assisting you through this process. Some of you are already on the process with us, and some, kind of looking for guidance as to where to go and how things, and there's quite a few different things that we're doing. We would like to definitely set up a one-on-one meeting with yourself, myself, or Todd, because remember, it's really, really important that you know that everybody's journey is different. None of you are on the exact same journey. Some of you need more academic advice. Some need more training and development advice. Some of you also may be ready to go, and we need to start looking at opportunities. Some of you may be looking at high school placements. Some are looking for university placements, and some are even looking at transferring from their current university across. And if you're in different countries, there are different elements that also we need to look at to help get you ready. So we're also going to put the email address on the chat now for you to send in your requirements. What's really, really important right now is any video footage that you may have, as well as your academic credentials, the latest academic report, so that we can at least get an initial read as to where you are. And then we'll schedule a meeting with one of our advisors, whether it's Todd from a basketball perspective, myself, and maybe some of our other consultants and advisors who help to advise you on the right way. And then after we put all the stuff together and get your profile done, we start linking you with opportunities. I don't know if you'd like to add anything there, Todd.
No, you were very accurate in the next steps, and look forward to working with the athletes at WWS on achieving their dreams and goals and presenting opportunities to be successful.
Fantastic. All right, so I'm now going to go into the questions. We do have some questions here. So, Todd, here's a question. It says, is it possible to get scholarships without a video profile?
It is difficult to do that from an athletic standpoint. Certainly because, colleges or universities or private boarding schools, they're not able to travel across the pond and evaluate you in many cases because of finances. Every one of the athletes that I've been fortunate enough to work with that came overseas, and there are dozens upon dozens of athletes from all different parts of the world. Every one of them had some video on them that was provided so that it could be passed on to a school, but it's very difficult for a university to make a financial commitment without seeing video, whether it be basketball or soccer, game footage, drill footage. Oftentimes they want to do, they do Zoom interviews as well as part of the process. They'll want to meet the potential student athlete and ask them questions on a Zoom interview. So it's very difficult to get any response if a video is not part of the profile.
Very good answer. And I think what is critical especially outside of the world, Todd, a lot of guys do not have video taken on a day-to-day basis, or it's really not done effectively. So we, even within our company, have begun to have our own video department with people that would be able to go out and shoot the video the way it's supposed to. I mean, someone wants a scholarship, but then they show you, them doing one layup or taking one jump shot, and then that's it. And then you say to yourself, okay, more needs to go into the education on what is necessary. A video needs to be no less than, if it's a highlight, no less than 5 to 7 minutes, of you doing different things. And what we're going to do is provide the different sports with some sort of a baseline of what you need to present, so that you don't think about what you need to present yourself, that you actually have a guideline of what people need to see. For athletics, track and field, it's very important to have video of you running a race as well as doing some practice. In soccer, obviously game footage of you playing a game, but also some training of you passing and doing the different drills. Again, these are things that we can provide you as client in terms of those kind of things. We've got another question here from Zambia. I see Chisomo Chilonga is asking, is there any possibility to be recruited if a student is talented in playing basketball? He lacks the knowledge of basketball rules, but he is able to play basketball, and then he's got all the basic skills covered and the requirements for playing basketball.
Yes, it is possible. That's where the projection comes in. That's where the evaluation process of individuals from WWS are allowed, can make that evaluation based on, an individual's size, how tall they are, their quickness, their jumping ability, their athletic ability, the size of their feet, looking at, projecting where are their personal measurables at this stage in time based on their age, and can that be projected over the next 3 or 4 years, be it to the high school level or the collegiate level. There's many stories of individuals that came from Africa that in many cases were very tall, that had not played a tremendous amount of basketball, that maybe didn't have a lot of the basketball rules and knowledge of the game, but yet had tremendous athletic ability, that maybe they played soccer, maybe they played rugby, maybe they played volleyball. And then their athletic ability translated to an opportunity in the States, and they were able to train and acquire the necessary skills and basketball knowledge and rules to help them be successful. So it is possible, based on, a projection, and many times that projection is on their current size, weight, height, jumping ability, shoe size, hand size, and where that falls. Are they 13, 14, or 15 and are 6'8" and have a size 16 shoe? You can project they're going to grow, to be 6'11" or 7 feet, or based on their current age and measurables. Some projections can be made, that help matriculate that evaluation and further that evaluation process.
Good. Then we've got Maritska Rottenbach from South Africa. She says, in which countries are scholarships available, and how do you obtain the information packet? I can answer this one. Maritska, we have opportunities worldwide. And depending on which countries of interest are interested in you as well, universities that are in those countries, we would then be able to identify what kind of scholarships they do have available. However, it's important to know that the US college system is the most, I would say, organized when it comes to scholarship allocation. And it's got bigger budgets for talented athletes. And then again, we like the competitive environment that it presents as well. Then we've got a question from Zimbabwe, a youngster called Jinoda Chikoto. He says, what do we do if we have footage, but due to COVID, we only have footage of mini games that we organized? Could we still get scholarships with footage like that?
Well, footage that needs to be linked together, and it's all part of a profile. So you can't, you would not necessarily be offered an opportunity just based on footage. It's all part, footage is one component of the WWS recruiting profile, along with your academic transcripts, along with a copy of your birth certificate, along with your personal information sheet and metrics, and testimonials and references. So if you took video footage of yourself, or someone took video footage of yourself participating in workouts or games, those video clips could be combined together by WWS and included in the profile, but it's very difficult to take a couple of things and try to do that on your own. It has to be, again, when you're trying to present to a school or university, you want to give them as much information as possible if they're considering making a financial commitment of a scholarship of $30, $40, $50, $60,000 a year. They require a great deal of information and knowledge on the potential student athlete to make sure that they're successful at that institution. Because in many cases, they're not necessarily looking for 1 year. They're looking for multiple years of athletic participation.
Okay, so we've got Mishi. She says, is there an age limit when it comes to being recruited? Can you get a scholarship if you have completed high school 5 years ago, but meet the requirements? It's a very hard question, that one.
Yes, there are age requirements for high school. In other words, you can't go to a typical high school or boarding school here in the United States unless you're under the age of 19 before your senior year. Then you could come here, and in many cases, some student athletes reclassify, where you may have graduated high school, but high school for you in your particular country was 16, whereas you could come to school here in the States at high school and possibly attend 2 years of high school here in the States on a scholarship before moving on to college. But there are numerous opportunities if you're 21, 23, or 25 to possibly receive a scholarship to a college or university, be it a junior college, a 2-year school, or a 4-year Division II university. There are many athletes that may have gone into the service, a particular military service, be it here in the United States or in their country where they had an obligation, and now they're 22 or 23 or 24 years old, and now want to continue their education and play and participate in athletics. And that opportunity still exists, again, based on age, athletic ability, and projection on skill level at this point, and academics. It's all part of a comprehensive profile that can be put together by worldwide scholarships.
Charles Majongwe, Zimbabwe. If a student gets straight A's but took maths literacy, does he still have a chance to compete at the highest college level of basketball? So maths literacy was the subject I was mentioning to you, was the subject that's not NCAA eligible through the eligibility center, is not a recognized subject. So this is an interesting question. He's saying he got straight A's, and I think the answer to that is you would potentially be able to get into an NAIA or a junior college, but you would not be able to get into an NCAA university straight off the top because of that issue that we were talking about, which is that the eligibility, you need to be eligible based on the core needs from the NCAA standpoint.
Yes, that the math literacy it couldn't be the only math class.
Okay. I think, Todd, we're done with the questions. I'd like to thank you again for taking up this journey with Worldwide Scholarships. First and foremost, it's an honor. We're very humbled to be a part of the legacy, and I can see many of our basketball players, they have a journey ahead of them. For sure, Todd, it's an honor, and to the other athletes that are here from other sports, again, you're in phenomenal hands. We work very hard here at Worldwide Scholarships to find the right journey for you, and the different journeys, I think, for each and every one of the athletes to be able to go on. And between ourselves, between Todd and the rest of our team, we will find a journey that's going to be fitting to what you've achieved yourselves.
It is a pleasure to be involved, and I am honored and humbled to work with Worldwide Scholarships for the opportunity to aid and assist young people in achieving their dreams and goals and giving them opportunities to be successful.
Once again, thank you everybody for participating. The next steps, as you saw, Send us in your latest academic credentials. And, then also tell us which services that you're interested in us helping you with. And we'll begin to assist each and every one of you to find the right path for yourself in this journey. Thank you so much, everybody. Good evening, good afternoon, goodbye.